Hey, one of the things that I believed for a while, and I didn't come up with this, I just steal everything. Um, One of the things that I believed for a long time is most differences of opinion could be resolved by sitting down over a cup of coffee together at your local Starbucks or Luna Bean or Cappuccino and Company or whatever that place is called in Minnesota. I think you can resolve a lot of differences over a conversation, and maybe not one conversation, maybe over multiple conversations. Maybe multiple conversations over multiple days, weeks, months, or even years. But I think that a lot of relationships where there's brokenness. I'm not talking about like deep wounded things, although I think some of them might be able to resolve this way as well. Like I think generally speaking, there are a lot of issues that people have with one another that could be resolved just by getting together and talking about it. Just by getting together and having a conversation over my favorite drink, which is coffee. And there's a lot of brokenness. There are a lot of real heart issues that people have to work through and people have to deal with. But God's desire for his people, God's design for his people, what is that we would be in relationship with one another. And we've been talking about this. We started talking about it back at the beginning of Galatians when we talked about the gospel. Let's see what it says here. I ought to have it memorized by now. May God the Father and our Lord Jesus Christ give you grace and peace. Because of God's grace, through the person of Jesus, we find peace. We find peace with God. We find peace with ourselves. We find peace with, I'm doing the diagram. We find peace with God. We find peace with ourselves. We find peace with others. And we find peace with creation because of the grace of Jesus Christ. And part of that peace with one another is conversation, is by being in right relationship, is by being in relationships that are restored by the power of the gospel. In Genesis 3, verses 12 and 13, it talks about that brokenness. When God confronts Adam and Eve for their sin, God asks him, "Have you eaten from the tree's fruit I commanded you not to eat?" The man replied, "It was the woman you gave me who gave me the fruit, and I ate it." So there's a break in relationship. Then God asked the woman, "What have you done?" "The serpent deceived me, that's why I ate it." So there's a break in relationship. And when we become followers of Christ, the desire and the design of God is that we would reconcile our relationships with others. Doesn't mean we have to be best friends, but it does mean that relationally, our relationships with others should be restored. And what I would press you on, what I would challenge you on, what I would encourage you to do today is look for ways to restore relationships. And it's going to take a while. It might take a while, and it's going to take a while. We talked about this earlier this year. Like restoration generally is more difficult than we think it should be, and it's going to take longer than we think it should. And if we have a proper mindset of what restoring a relationship looks like, that it's going to be harder than what we think and it's going to take longer than what we think, that's a good pathway, like for setting our expectations and realizing like we're going to have to meet a few times. But our desire as Christians to be the people that God is calling us to be is to be faithful in restoring relationships. And my hope and my prayer for you today is that you would seek to be faithful in restoring the relationships that God has placed you in. Love you. Talk to you again soon.